Well, the Rays have lost 3 games on the heels of a 5-game winning streak, and they haven't had the lead in any of those 3 games. That's 31 innings over that stretch. 2 of those here against the Mariners in Seattle, and they'll try to turn it around with this starting lineup. Rays facing Felix Hernandez, and this lineup presented by your local Ford dealers will feature Malik Smith leading off, followed by C.J. Cron, the DH, and then Joey Wendell hitting third. Matt Duffy's in the cleanup spot at third base. Daniel Robertson at short hits fifth with Brad Miller at first, the former Seattle Mariner. Carlos Gomez hits seventh and right. Johnny Field in left field hitting eighth, and the number 9 hitter doing the catching is Jesus Sucre.
Well, here you see him, King Felix. Dave hit him up in the open and was talking a little bit about, what we've seen from him recently. You see his numbers for the year so far, and really he was a power pitcher, and not so much anymore. Recently, he's hovering around that 90-mile-an-hour mark. He throws his off-speed pitches a lot more. You'll see a little bit more of his curveball changeup today in that combination. And his walk total is a little bit up from where it's been in the past at 28. So really he's been trying to get guys on pitches out of the zone. He doesn't have the overpowering stuff anymore, but he still does have all that time in the big leagues and all that experience. Here we'll set the defense up. Behind him is going to be left to right, Span, Heredia, and Haniger in right field. And third to first, you got Seager, who's played a great third base so far this series. Segura, Gordon, Healy, and then doing the catching duty, Mike Zunino.
And we are all set to play with Malik Smith stepping in against Felix Hernandez. 32-year-old right-hander, and the first pitch of this game is a strike call. Ryan Blakeney working the plate. 60 degrees here in Seattle to begin this game. And the weatherman says we could get some rain somewhere in the next 90 minutes, give or take a few. Hernandez quickly out in front. The breaking ball there in on Malik Smith. Rays last night held to a run on 5 hits. This one stroked toward right center. Haniger on the run, and he makes the catch. Reaching out with the glove hand to grab it. 1 away.
Well, right away we're going to see what Felix is going to be featuring today. And Dave, I mean, look, he's going to go fastball early, but he went back-to-back curveballs, and he's been throwing a lot of off-speed lately.
And they've really been trying to get him game ready out in the bullpen. The last 25 to 30 pitches of his bullpen days. Now, as he comes into the game, they want him amped up, ready to go. And I guess in this day and age, Dwayne, where you've got 5 guys ready to bullpen at any time, you can maybe blow out an inning or two in the first out in the bullpen and not have to worry about going 7 or 8 innings later.
Yeah, the interesting thing about that, C.J. Cron takes a strike. In recent history, he's been a flat ground bullpen guy. And the last couple times out, he's up on the mound and working hard, trying to find what he's going to take to the game, because over the last 4 or 5 starts, he has struggled.
And especially in the first inning, he's pitching to an ERA of 12 in the first inning. Opponents are hitting well over 300 against him. So I guess the folks with the Mariners, starting with Mel Stoudemire Jr., their pitching coach, trying to get him game ready from the time he leaves that bullpen.
The chop to third. Seager makes that play. So a fly ball and a ground ball. 2 up and 2 down for the Rays against Felix Hernandez.
And I would imagine, Doug, again, as a former pitcher, I mean, you got to be stubborn for a little while there, because something's worked for him for almost 200 wins. So why go changing? Well, something's not working for him now with an ERA closer to 6 than it is to 5. And so I guess right now he is finally open to maybe making a couple changes to his preparation, to his game ready arsenal. And we'll see if the Rays can make any adjustments against him, because I've never seen him bad, Dwayne. I don't think I've ever seen him bad, especially in this park.
Yeah, not against the Rays for sure. Joey Wendell after the first pitch, and he pops it foul. That's going to be out of play. Wendell hitting .290 with a couple of home runs and 14 runs batted in. And the Rays, going back to 2012, have seen him at his very best. Base is empty. A strike to count to Wendell. The little tap, 0-2. And the Toyota inside look, the breakout on Felix Hernandez in 11 starts against the Rays. 7-0 here with a 167 earned run average.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that good?
That's decent. You know, those are decent numbers.
It's a breaking ball in the dirt. Wendell held up in time.
I guess it says we've scored against him a couple times. I'm trying to remember that. I mean, until we get a hit here on a getaway day against Felix, I'm always a little nervous.
Now, you guys are talking about, you know, the maturity level and a pitcher having to adapt. You know, Felix being so good early in his career with just really his stuff. But now you see a more complete pitcher.
And Wendell out on strikes. 3 up, 3 down. Go the Rays. Bottom of the first inning coming up. No score. Quickly take a look at this Mariner lineup again. D. Gordon leads off at second base. Gene Segura hits second, the shortstop. Then Mitch Haniger hits third. Nelson Cruz, the DH, in the cleanup spot. Kyle Seager, Ryan Healy, Guillermo Heredia, Denard Span, and Mike Zunino rounding out the Mariners starting lineup.
Well, here you see the hometown boy, Blake Snell, and 7 wins on the year, tied for third in the AL. Over the last 22 starts, he's 12-4 with a 2.69. This guy's been throwing absolutely lights out recently. He's coming in on 3 straight wins.
There's Gordon, and the first pitch is a fastball at 97, up and in. Well, you could excuse Blake Snell if he is a little amped for this one.
Yep.
Pitching in his hometown with friends and family here, pitching against Felix Hernandez. And Blake, who was 12 years old when Hernandez made his major league debut. Snell remembers that debut. There's a strike, and it's 2-1.
Well, it's amazing to think, you know, first of all, that Felix is getting that old. He's 32 now, and also how young Blake Snell is.
Yeah, it seems that Hernandez should be a lot older, but he was only 19 when he broke in. Now 2-2 to Gordon. High velocity again from Snell. There's a peek into the dugout. Into the stands it goes. Well, Seattle starts this day in first place by percentage points in the American League West. Their season's high, 14 games over 500. And a cut and a miss. That takes care of Gordon.
Let's take a look at the defensive alignment for the Tampa Bay Rays today here in Seattle. We'll start in the outfield where Johnny Field is left, Malik Smith back in center, and Carlos Gomez over in right. And then on the infield, third to first, Matt Duffy. Daniel Robertson's played a tremendous shortstop. Joey Wendell doing a great job at second, and Brad Miller back at first. And Jesus Sucre putting the fingers down behind home plate. He's done a wonderful job with the pitchers here on this road trip so far. He's done a real good job of getting those guys to throw pitches where he wants them, and they've really followed the game plan nicely.
Gene Segura looking at a strike on the outside corner. Well, that's 97, right on the edge. Segura at 336.
Dwayne,
That's
you touched
a great
on,
combo right there.
You touched on the Mariners being in first place. It's the latest they've been in first place in the American League West since August of 2003. And you wouldn't think it, but they haven't been to the postseason since their magical year of 2001.
Yeah, that's the year they won 116 games. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and that's been it. A long spell here for Seattle.
Hard to believe, but then you think about it. The Angels got good, won a World Series in '02. Astros moved in, they've been pretty good. Oakland A's were pretty good for a few years there, so you can see why they've had trouble getting back to the postseason.
And a cut and a miss. Segura out on strikes. Back-to-back strikeouts for Snell to begin this outing.
Boy, you're talking about Blake Snell, and you're talking about a power pitcher. Here you're going to see a slider disappearing on Segura. Segura, obviously knows what he's doing with the bat in his hand. He's second in the AL with 78 hits. And, Blake Snell just went out there and made him look like he doesn't belong here. Snell really utilizing his off-speed. I saw a 90-mile-an-hour changeup earlier in that sequence. That's one of the pitches that's really starting to set him apart.
Haniger, fastball up. And he starts him at 97, up out of the zone.
But that's the big difference between this year and last year, Dwayne. It's not 92, 93 as the roof is beginning to close here. The carport's coming over. It's 97, and I think that affects everything else that he throws in his arsenal.
2 balls, no strikes. Well, the forecast calls for rain.
I think it's misting right now as we speak.
The last time,
quick start, he's behind Haniger 3-0.
Last time I was here, we were with the Rays, and it was '05, and that's the last time I saw the roof close. Jamie Moore is pitching. I think it took him 3 innings for that roof to be closed. Not because it was slow, it's because he was carving us up.
3-1. Well, Moyer could do that in a hurry.
Oof. At 80 miles an hour.
Yep.
Made me feel really bad about myself.
Well, he did it about 3 years later in the World Series too, at about 79 miles an hour.
That'll be a foul ball out of play. Haniger decided this game, the extra inning game, first game of this series in the 13th inning with his 12th home run of the year. Batting with the bases empty and 2 gone. Again, out of play the other way. Snell with 3 consecutive wins over the Angels and the Red Sox in Oakland. Two again, and he got him. Got him over that pitch, and Snell strikes out the side. Gordon, Segura, and Haniger here. We'll take a look at this. Boy, a lot of high octane velocity, but he's mixed the slider and the change in there already. No score on to the second inning. The Rays will have Matt Duffy to lead off against Felix Hernandez. First pitch comes in upstairs. Well, that fastball from Hernandez at times. The pass, now hit battered. Duffy hit by the breaking ball. And the Rays got a base runner here. Fastball in his heyday at times could hit 100. Strong mid-90s and up to 97, 98. And now it's a lot closer to 90, and there's the hit batsman on the curveball.
Yeah, and you know what? He also has a somewhat of a deceptive delivery. So you add that all together, with a upper 90s fastball, that devastating changeup and curveball combination early in his career. You could see why he was going out there with no-hit stuff just about every time.
Ball, no strikes, the count on Daniel Robertson. Robertson at 266, among the top 10 and on base percentage. Quick snap down to first. Back in Duffy. Zunino behind the plate. And we saw him the other night, how good he can be. The Rays actually, the last handful of games, have had some base running issues. They've lost multiple base runners, and Zunino not only good throwing runners out at second, but he'll, as we just saw, throw behind the runner on the pickoff.
Well, Duffy the other day had a little issue over there at first base. I didn't really think it was a base running mistake by him. It was a one hopper in the dirt, and it was a case where, again, Zunino just made an incredible pick, and I think that was Robertson actually in the game the other day. Duffy had the double play ball, but yeah, you're right, Dwayne. The Rays have to clean things up. I mean, we don't have the firepower to out hit our mistakes, so we've got to play a lot cleaner baseball than some other teams do.
So it is foul, and at the same time, they want to be aggressive on the bases because they don't have the kind of power that they have had in the past stacked up and down the lineup. But you have to pick the right times. Like they say, timing is everything.
Yeah, it's really just maximizing our chances on the bases, taking the extra base with the ball in the dirt, and being aggressive when the time calls for it. It's just unfortunately over the past series, in this West Coast swing.
Up the middle and a base hit into center. Duffy will stop at second, and Robertson is aboard. So the Rays making a little noise in the second inning. And the first scoring threat of the day comes early.
Here you're going to see a changeup from Hernandez. It's a little bit elevated up in the zone. He's already been going to that pitch a lot so far today, and he's almost pitching backwards from what we've seen today. Here's a changeup, elevated of where Zunino wanted it, and Robertson doing a good job of driving it back up the middle.
Brad Miller takes an opening curveball in there for a strike. We talk so much about the velocity he used to have, but that changeup, he would throw that at any time. A little different case here the last year or so. It's been much more inconsistent. Ball, one strike. It's the breakout.
Yeah, and back when he had the power stuff, you're obviously seeing a lot more fastballs and the changeup, and then the curveball would come in at times. But here, Dave talked about it earlier, he's had to adapt. He's a veteran pitcher who needs to adapt because he doesn't have the same stuff that he used to. So you're going to see a lot more of the off-speed pitches. And then, you're also going to see him try to expand the zone. That's why his walk total has gone up this year.
I think he's watching a left-handed version of himself right now with Blake Snell. Everything power fastball, power curve, slider, and then even the power changeup. And now Father Time has caught up a little bit with the King, and he's trying to adapt, as you said.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
But he was a guy, Dwayne and Doug, that could get you out by throwing the ball over the plate. I mean, he didn't have to worry about nitpicking 2 or 3 or 4 inches off of the plate. Now he has to do that a little bit more, because if he makes a mistake out over the plate, it should be hit very hard.
Little piece of that one, a foul ball. Well, as a result of what he has to do in terms of working the edges of the plate, that pitch count per inning is at a career high for him. His career numbers are in the low to mid 15 pitches per inning, and they're over 17 per inning this year. That'll take the count to 3-2.
A lot of young pitchers still would take that. And again, for a guy that just used to absolutely dominate, now trying to learn the other way of maybe what lesser pitchers would do. But you know, this is a guy right here, Brad Miller. We talked about the team doesn't have a lot of thump. Brad's one of those guys that has to provide that thump to help this team out.
And that is strike 3 on the appeal. Jim Wolf down at third. Says Miller went around.
Well,
big strikeout for Hernandez. Kevin Cash not real happy.
Yeah, you see the curveball, and actually it looked like Jim Wolf might have gotten the call correct. You see the big curveball coming down and in on a 3-2 pitch, and that's kind of what Hernandez has to do. He can't come back at you with the big power fastball like we've talked about. So you can't sit on the fastball anymore. That's one thing that he has to do to utilize his off-speed pitch to get deep into games. You're going to see a lot of those off-speeds, you know, behind in the count.
Carlos Gomez takes the first pitch down. Gomez 7 home runs on the year, and in his career against Hernandez 6 of 17 with 2 home runs. The corner away for a strike. 1-1. Well, regardless of not having that 95+ fastball, Hernandez still has some guile out there. He knows what he's doing. 2 balls and a strike.
Well, we ran into that a little bit earlier this year against James Shields. James was not an upper 90s guy, but James could bring it 93, 94, 95 on occasion. And then when we saw him in Chicago, it was a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Stay inside, stay outside, stay off the middle part of the plate. And he gave the Rays fits.
Ball foul. 2-2. You know, in the history of the game, it's not unusual for a pitcher who is so overpowering the way Hernandez was to make that adjustment. They used to do it with fair amount of regularity.
One of the guys that comes to mind for me right away, Frank Tanana, a guy that was right behind Nolan Ryan with a 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
A little pop-up on the infield. Infield fly right there, and Gomez is out number 2.
And then he became a guy that had to try to get guys out, not with 90, but about 83, 85. Right. So, you know, the adjustments have been made. And if you want to pitch for a long time in the big leagues, you've got to make adjustments. And if you want to hit for a long time in the big leagues, well, you're going to need multiple bats because Carlos just
well, that pitch backed up, and that fed the frustration for Gomez.
Yeah, you know, Gomez just struggling so far. You know, coming into today, he's just 1 for 7 on the series. He did have the home run, but obviously he's not happy with that gum on the bench. And yeah, he's just struggling, you know. Ever since he came back from the DL, he hasn't been hitting the ball that great. He's running into a couple home runs for us, but it's the inside pitch up and in. He's so aggressive, he has a tough time taking that pitch and also a tough time handling it right now.
Johnny Field takes a strike. A little breaking ball around the knees.
I've been impressed with Johnny Field. I mean, I was happy with the way that he played in the spring. He kind of opened a few eyes with the way that he played. I didn't think he was going to be this much of an impactful player here at the big league level.
0-2 the count.
But he deserved a chance, and he's hit 6 home runs, and he's had a couple of ebbs and flows here over the last few weeks, but has had some big hits here over the last couple of days. And Johnny's a gamer, and I think we're seeing some of those guys now coming up from AAA Durham, and you're finding out why that team was the International League champs last year and the national champs, because they've got some gamers.
Field out on strikes. Rays put the first 2 men aboard, leave him there. No score. Middle of the second. By WB Mason. Huba WB Mason, the official office supply company of the Tampa Bay Rays. By Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. 1-2-3 first for Blake Snell, striking out the side. He'll face Nelson Cruz to begin the bottom of the second. Cruz, the DH and cleanup hitter, and the first pitch is the fastball in off the plate. Seager next, and then Healy. Blake comes in, tied for third in the league and wins with 7-3, sixth in ERA with a 2.56. And he gets Cruz to chase there.
You know, you're talking about a power pitcher throwing upper 90s, 97, and he drops a 1-0 changeup, 88 miles an hour down and away on one of the best hitters for this Mariners lineup.
Now away with a fastball, 2-1. Blake coming off Tuesday's outing at Oakland, 97 pitches. Pitched 2 outs into the 6th inning. En route to the victory. Behind Cruz, 3-1.
You know, one of the things I've seen from Snell on this streak that he's put together over the last, say, 22 starts, and I'm going to preface this by saying he's never hit a batter in the big leagues. He's pitched inside a lot better recently than what we saw him the first time he came up in the big leagues.
Well, I think confidence, when you look at his command and where it has progressed. And as you well know, I mean, you're the pitcher in the booth. They talk about pitching inside. There's some pitchers who just cannot accomplish that. Now he comes back and strikes out Cruz. And him out in front. 4 consecutive strikeouts here by Snell to begin this game.
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, his slider is just filthy. That's what it's coming down to. 4 straight strikeouts, and all 4 of them coming on sliders. And these sliders, there you see Snell's family obviously pretty excited about the way he started out this game. You know, 4 straight punchies. But that slider's just been devastating. We've seen that pitch develop for him over the course of the start of this year and probably the last 10 starts of last year.
Here's Kyle Seager. Foul the other way. Opening fastball. Well, command is such an issue with so many pitchers. And when you're working in, you know what they say, 3 things can happen, 2 of them are bad.
Yeah,
so you've got to have confidence to go in there and know you can get the job done when you do. 2 now.
It just seems like, you know, last year the fastball wasn't where it is this year, but it also seemed like last year he was just going through the buffet line. Well, you know, I haven't used my curveball in a while. I'm going to use it here. I haven't used my changeup for a bit. I might use it here. Oh yeah, I got a slider. I might as well mix it in. It seems like he's got more of a conviction with every single pitch he's throwing here in 2018, and it shows with the numbers.
That's out of play the other way on the fastball.
And I think that fastball is a big part of it. 97, even in that last start against Oakland, you know, his fastball command was a little spotty, maybe the most spotty it's been in his last handful of starts, but he didn't run away from the fastball 54% of the time this year. I think that number's up, and by not running away from it, it still made all his other pitchers better.
1-2 with Seager. Strikeouts of Gordon, Segura, and Haniger in the first. Cruz here to open the second inning. And he goes up with the fastball and gets Seager to chase it. 5 consecutive strikeouts to begin his performance here in Seattle.
Well, I mean, expanding the zone up. This is the first time he's done it today with that 97-mile-an-hour gas. That's coming behind the slider we've been talking about, so it actually was set up perfectly. You got a slider starting right down the middle, disappearing on Seager. He took it, so instead he goes out with the out pitch of a 97-mile-an-hour heater up in the zone.
And right now, every hitter in that Seattle lineup's going, uh-oh, because he can throw all these pitches for strikes, and he can get swing and miss on all of them too.
Ryan Healy. Bounce foul. Healy homered in last night's game. He stretched the lead to 3-1 with the leadoff homer in the 6th inning. Coming over from Oakland. A little doubt about that one.
Yeah,
and the Mariners trying to actually solidify first base.
Yeah.
They've had almost half a dozen first basemen here over the last few years, and finally Healy in there. They think they have a guy who can give them a little consistency at first. Certainly gives them some power.
And we saw the power last night. Wilmer Font, off-speed pitch up in the zone. Healy taking advantage of it.
There's a cut and a miss. And again, Blake Snell strikes out the side. 3 up, 3 down. 6 up, 6 down, all on K's.
Eight-year-old Haley Dawson threw out the ceremonial first pitch today, and she was born with Poland syndrome, which left her without 3 fingers, and she's made do thanks to a robotic 3D printed hand. This was not her first rodeo, though. This was her 10th ballpark throwing out the first pitch. She is determined to throw out the first pitch at every major league ballpark, and she actually threw out a first pitch in Game 4 of the World Series in Houston.
What a great story that is, and to do it in every ballpark. Sucre taking a strike. It's 1-1. She's going to be doing as much traveling as we do. Down to third, Seager with a lot of time, and his toss across the diamond. Sucre out number 1 in the 3rd. Braves had a threat first 2 men aboard in the 2nd inning, but Hernandez got Miller, Gomez, and Field. Here's the other thing about Hernandez. If you let him, he might give you more of those opportunities, because his walk rate is up considerably to what it is in his career. His career was about 2.5, somewhere in that neighborhood, for 9 innings, and he's up around 3.8, starting to push 4. So indications are that if you're patient enough, you might get yourself either in a good hitter's count or a walk. There's a bunt attempt, and Healy makes a diving catch.
Well,
Alex Smith trying to bunt his way on, and boy, he's frustrated.
I like the idea of the bunt there. You know, with Malik Smith, obviously he's got so much speed. If he's able to get that on the ground, might have a chance to beat that out. Healy was actually playing back, but obviously you got to get the bunt on the ground and wasn't able to, and that's why Healy was able to make that play. Nice little Superman diving catch with the flip throw to first. Look at Hernandez with that. You got to love that.
C.J. Crow takes the ball. Yeah, you don't know whether Healy was trying to catch that little pop foul or get out of the way of Felix Hernandez. Hernandez ready for the takedown.
That was beautiful. I love this view. Here we go. Watch Hernandez put his hands up. Yeah, Superman, baby. Make that catch. That's great.
2-1, 2 outs, bases empty. C.J. Crone just 2 for 19 in his career against Hernandez. One of those hits, a home run. Down to third, fair, backhanded stop, Seager. Oh, what a play by Seager again. He got it across to Healy in time. Put a star by that one for Seager, and he's done this all series, victimizing the Rays again.
His afternoon. 6 punch outs, 5 of them coming on the slider, 1 of them on a fastball elevated up in the zone. He's sitting 97 right now, slider around 88 to 90, and he looks absolutely unhittable through the first 2 innings.
First pitch to Heredia is fouled. 6 consecutive strikeouts to start the game. Scott Kazmir struck out 5 Oakland A's to begin a game back in 07. So Blake Snell establishing a club record here with 6 to begin this one. And he has a strike on Guillermo Heredia. He checked in time on the fastball up. It's 1-1.
There's something in that home cooking. His fastball looks more electric today than we've seen this entire year, and he's been electric all year.
That one just wide, 2-1.
Doug, you said coming into the game that pitching in front of friends and family, pitching in your hometown, there's usually only 2 ways. It's either going to go very, very good or not so good, and so far so good.
This pitch is fouled. Well, a 2-2 count here. There's his dad, Dave. Front and center right there with a whole host of friends and family at this game. Dad in his 4th year as a head coach at Shoreline Community College. And how about that? 7 consecutive strikeouts. This one looking.
I mean, this is the first one on a curveball, so he's mixing well. He's got him ahead here, and you see the 83-mile-an-hour breaker just frozen. I mean, you can't do anything with that. If you're Heredia, you're just going back to the dugout, and all the other guys are asking what he's got, and you're just saying, don't worry about it.
And right now there's 7 guys with mitts playing behind him going, hey, can we play?
Oh, my goodness.
Are we allowed to play today?
7 up, 7 down, all on strikes. Here's Denard Span. The pitch is down. Denard hitting .242. That includes his time with the Rays. This is down. 7 consecutive strikeouts, tying the franchise record now. Andy Sonnenstein and Chris Archer with 7 consecutive strikeouts.
Showed you how slippery Andy could have been back in the day.
Yeah, how about
you wouldn't
that?
expect to see him on that list, but he could have been. He was slippery back then.
There's a strike to Span. 2-1. This also ties an American League record to start a game. That's foul just outside the bag at first. Takes the count to 2-2.
You know, Dave, you're talking about how we had a discussion on going home and pitching in front of your hometown, and how usually you either do really good or really bad. And you know, it's the distractions outside the field are what really comes into play. You know, it seems like Snell's done such a good job of making sure everybody's here and everybody's having a good time, but also focusing in on what he has to do. And a lot of guys can't do that. A lot of guys have a tough time focusing in, and the distractions are what plays in their mind the entire time they're out there.
Does it help that it's the 3rd game in, though, maybe, that he had a couple of days to visit with people and get a lot of the stuff out of the way as he prepped for the game today?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, you know, he went out there early, got to see everybody early in the series, and now he's all business.
Piece of that one foul. Holds the count at 2-2.
I know that Blake held Denard in high esteem, even though, again, it's the pitcher versus position player kind of guy, but Blake really admired the way that Denard and his professionalism, and I'm going to imagine there's kind of an interesting thing going on right now inside of Blake as he gets ready to face his former teammate here. And if there's a guy on this team right now that's going to work him a little bit, we've watched Denard Span do that while he was with the Rays for that short time.
And the pitch is tapped foul, and Span's in that mode right now as he is. It seems when he was with the Rays, every time he got to 2 strikes, that was the beginning of his at bat. He could work at bats as well as anybody swinging a bat right now.
And why is it that when a guy's striking everybody out, we're not worrying about the defense getting flat-footed, but when you're walking everybody, we do? I mean, I'm looking at some of the defenders, they're moving their arms around their legs. They haven't been busy yet in this game.
2-2 again. Now it's 3-2. The pitch missing low. On deck, Mike Zunino. Well, you can only imagine the adrenaline running from Snell to start this game, and what he's done to bottle that, keep that under control. And now Span being a pest up there, fouling pitches away.
You know, Span doing what we saw him do so much in Tampa Bay, just professional at bats. You know, the guy has 10 years service time in the major leagues, and you know, over that course of time, he just understands what a pitcher is trying to do to him. He understands it so well. He knows how pitchers try to set him up, and he works and he uses that against them.
3-2 again. And a little looper back to third. That's a foul ball. So Span will return to the plate. 9 pitches into this at bat.
Blake also really wanted to pitch here in Seattle this year. Told the Rays that much even in the spring, saying, hey, if there was any way that I can pitch in Seattle, I'd like to. Obviously, he's from here, friends and family, but his grandfather, Dickie's very close to him, and it might be Again, the first time he's been able to see him pitch here in Seattle. So there's all kinds of things going on with Blake, but his grandfather Dick's been battling a little bit of an illness here, and this is really a big moment for Blake to be able to pitch in front of him too.
Yeah, that was a strong consideration from Blake Snell to get that done. Tapped by the mound. Wendell makes the pickup. So finally the Rays defense involved. So 7 consecutive strikeouts, and then the ground ball off the bat of Denard Span. Timeless moment brought to you by Coors Banquet. Well, Doug, you know something about adrenaline and pitching at home.
Yeah,
They're home folks.
Friends and family back at the Trop. First start ever, complete game shutout. Damian Rolls making the last out, third to first. Boy, I should have retired right there, boys. On top of my game. This is the first and last hug I got from Lou Piniella. Tom Foley there, give me a little handshake.
Did he drop a son on you, or did he drop a Doug? Did he say son or Doug?
He said son. I don't think he knew my name at that point in time. Oh man,
There were a lot of sons.
There were a lot of sons. I saying that, Lou is one of my favorite people in the world. Awesome. Oh God, he has so many stories about him, but just such a good person. Not only just in general, but for the game of baseball.
He does a commercial here. I was watching the game on replay last night a little bit in my room as I was packing for, I think, a senior home out here, and he's driving the bus. And I didn't have the sound on. I wish I did, but there's Lou Piniella driving the bus for a senior home out here in the Seattle area.
1-1 to count on Zunino. And he did go. He tried to check. Now 1-2. That's the crew chief, Alfonso Marquez, down at first, making that call.
You don't look any different, by the way.
Oh, come on. That's the first thing I noticed.
Hair on the chin.
I got the goatee now, gray hair, larger shirt.
This is upstairs 2-2.
No, they don't make mediums anymore.
No,
So.
and I barely fit into it then.
All game, bottom of the third. Now, Lou was here during those days we referenced earlier.
Yeah.
0-1 when they won 116 games here, the Mariners. Full count now.
Always wondered what that would have been like to be with Lou, though, winning. I mean, 116 games, and how good of a mood he must have been in. And then the only time I had a chance to work with him was during the 05 season, and during that spring I think his father passed away, and then obviously all the issues to the start to that season, but he is revered up here.
3-2, he got him. He strikes him out. First time through the lineup. 9 up, 9 down, 8 strikeouts, and we'll go to the fourth. No score. Well, we go back a few years here, refreshing for Felix Hernandez, not so much for the Rays. Hernandez throwing that perfect game we referenced earlier.
But just seeing the highlights gives me the chills.
It was no fun.
No,
No,
and not
really.
in a good way.
No, it wasn't a whole lot of fun.
The curveball to start Joey Wendell, the fourth inning underway with a strike.
Look at that line right there.
And we were kind of numb to it by then. I think there was about the fourth or fifth no-hitter thrown against the Rays in about 3 years.
Ground ball up the middle, and Segura stationed a couple steps shy of second, makes the play. 6-3, Wendell is out of there.
No, right now we're seeing Hernandez really at the top of his game. This is the best he's thrown in a while, you know, especially out of the last 7 starts. And to me, it's a veteran pitcher who used to be so incredibly dominant. And a lot of times when you see another guy in the opposite dugout come out there and absolutely wipe out your team, it reminds you how good you used to be. And you go out there and you start rolling a little bit.
Matt Duffy lifting this one toward left center. Closed by Span, who makes the grab on the move. Well, Hernandez, who made just 8 pitches in the 3rd inning, has retired the first 2 men on just 3 pitches here in the 4th.
Well, you see the aggressive nature right now of the Tampa Bay Rays lineup, trying to get something early to drive, and Hernandez is almost feasting on that. He's throwing a lot of off-speed pitches early, and that's what we just saw.
Matt Duffy's good at that,
Duffy,
though. I like
yeah.
Matt. Matt goes up. I heard you guys talking about him the other night. I think Matt goes up with about as best a plan as anybody on this team.
Daniel Robertson shoots it through the left side. And so he is 2 for 2, collecting both hits.
And I think Daniel's not too far behind him for a young player. I think Daniel, again, earlier this year when he was hovering around 300 with that batting average, was doing just that. He saw a good pitch early in the count, he went at it. If he didn't get a good pitch, he wasn't afraid to get the 2 strikes and work the count. And then I think he got a little too selective for a stretch there where he went about 1 for 29, 1 for 30. And now he's kind of back to see the ball, hit the ball. And he's been doing a much better job. But I've been really impressed with what Daniel Robertson does. But my barometer a lot of times for games is Matt Duffy. How are Matt Duffy's at-bats? If he has tough at-bats, we might be in for a rough game.
Yeah, he does a great job of adjusting to the pitcher on the mound. He'll hit the ball all over the field. Robertson aboard right now with Brad Miller at the plate. That's a shot toward right center field. Extra bases coming here. Robertson hitting 3rd. He'll be waved to the plate. It will be a stand-up double, and the Rays take a 1-0 lead. 2-base hit for Miller, his 8th double of the year, giving the Rays the lead. 19 runs batted in as Robertson crosses the plate.
Yeah, well, again, we're seeing the aggressive nature coming out with the Rays lineup, and here we see Miller change up, first pitch up in the zone. Miller doing a good job going down, getting it, driving it out to right center and getting the double. Just an incredible job being aggressive there. Robertson, you know, 0 hesitation going around 3rd base, getting the first run of the game.
Two outs, going on contact, and with that ball split in the outfield, no chance for the Mariners to get him at the plate, so the Rays not sitting around. They're going right after him.
Carlos Gomez hits it on the ground to short. Segura takes care of that. Well, the Rays come up with a run on 2 hits and take a 1-0 lead in the middle of the 4th. Visit raisebaseball.com/steal. You can purchase press level tickets to the game coming up Saturday for just $20. That's a 60% savings for Rays fans today only. Go to raisebaseball.com/steal to get your deal. Rays up.
Well, here's a little scout report for you for D. Gordon. Well, first of all, it's a health factor. He's coming off the DL, 10-day DL with a broken toe. And you would think that would slow him down a little bit, but look, speed kills, and it does for D. Gordon. 60 stolen bases last year. He's already got 18 stolen bases this year. And that leads the AL, and he's only been caught stealing twice. So keeping this guy off the base paths is huge when you're facing this Mariners lineup.
1-0 the count. It's fouled back. Well, to this point, Snell has kept everybody in the lineup off the bases the first time through, with 8 strikeouts of the 9 men he has faced.
Yeah, I don't know how Span put one in play.
It's fouled back by Gordon. Now 1-2.
I love the medical report on D. Gordon, though. It said broken great toe. I didn't know. I mean, I always
it's not just an okay toe.
It
it's
couldn't
great.
have been just a big toe, but it was the great toe, as opposed to the super fantastic toe that you got to be really careful about.
That's offensive to the other toes.
That's
Yes.
right.
It's fouled back. Still 1-2. Hey, the big story of this game so far, Blake Snell, of course, but the sideline is that the Rays have a lead. They've gone 34 innings without a lead. And the run they came up with in the top of this inning gives them that lead, 1-0. Grounding ball right side. A race to the bag, and Snell did not beat him in. Miller with the flip. You can see it setting up. Gordon's great speed, and Snell getting off the mound to get over there to cover.
Well, right here, you're going to see it. Blake Snell being a left-handed pitcher, he's going to fall a little bit toward the third base side. And because of that, he wasn't able to get the great first step. And D. Gordon being so fast, we talked about his speed. Being out of the left-handed side of the batter's box, he's able to get that quick first step, and he just really has to beat Blake Snell. Nothing done wrong there by Brad Miller. Brad Miller charged the ball, flipped it to Blake Snell, and that's just straight speed.
And there was nothing wrong with the way that Blake did it either. He wasn't a spectator, got off the mound quick. You could just see D. Gordon as they were running up the line together, passing him, and there's only a couple players in the baseball that can do that, because Blake is a pretty good athlete in getting there and defending his position.
Segura taking a fastball wide. 1 ball and no strike. So the leadoff man aboard. An infield hit for Gordon.
And this is where Blake has to control his breathing and his heart rate. Just kind of, all right, the hit's out of the way. Now you protect the scoreboard. You try to hold on to the 1-0 lead, and you try to put the 0 back up. But catch your breath, relax, reset.
Well, you could see that in his facial expression after Gordon beat the play at first. It's a natural disappointment, a little letdown there, and that's got to go away. And you refocus. And he's been so good at doing that, part of the maturing process that we've talked about really since last August.
And you know who's been good at helping along with that is Kyle Snyder. We wish Kyle the best. Kyle's a little under the weather and has missed the last couple of games. We wish Kyle all the best and wish that he gets well soon. But Kyle's been really good. It started with him resetting with him back at Durham when he came back up here to work with Jim Hickey. Stan Borowski now working with the pitchers out of the dugout. But Kyle has picked some great spots so far this year to go out and talk to Blake during moments just like this to kind of calm him down. Blake has a great affection for what Kyle Snyder has done for him as a pitching coach.
Time called. Yeah, that's a growing group. A lot of the young pitchers already had a relationship with Kyle, and it has been a positive development.
You always hear the word
pitching staff,
and you always hear the word trust.
Yep.
And I would imagine Doug, as a former pitcher, trust is a huge thing with your pitching coach, because you have to believe in what he's telling you and believe in what he's trying to get across as well. to get you to become the best that you possibly can be.
Right. You know, with Kyle Snyder, you know, I was talking to these guys, a couple of these pitchers, Blake Snell, individually before in spring training, and we were talking about Jim Hickey and Kyle Snyder and the differences of both. And you know, he had a lot of good words to say about Jim Hickey, obviously. But then he talked about Kyle Snyder, and he's talking about him like he was his mentor, not just a coach. And you see a quick throw over, watching D. Gordon at first base, and it's a relationship that is built over time. You can't just forge the relationship, and you can't just, well, you can't force it in the big leagues. It's something that these guys came up through the minor leagues together.
I think the Rays want to look and see if D. Gordon either came off the bag or might have been out. And they're going to take a look.
They're going to take a look at this for sure. The crew chief, Alfonso Marquez, on that call.
Hard to tell if he got him with the initial tag, maybe one of the strings hanging off of the mitt. I don't know. It looked like, again, something that Jeremy Sowers and Chico Fernandez saw downstairs and wanted him to take a look, but he step off and throw, kind of like Marco Gonzalez yesterday, getting Rob Refsnyder, and it's really, really close. I mean, did the initial tag get him? That's the question. Was there a little thread from Brad Miller's mitt that got him? It looked like the sleeve moved a little bit, didn't it?
Yeah, he may have gotten him. He's got to get him with more than the string.
Yes,
string
you do.
is not part of the mitt for the put out, but that was very close, and we'll see. As we all know, has to be definitive there. And the initial call safe, so the Rays have an uphill battle if they're going to get this overturned.
Well, a good move by Blake, quick feet.
Yep, here it is. You'll see D. Gordon actually make a move towards second base. Snell seeing that, I don't know if he saw it or he's going to go to first base either way. And that small move, you see him right here, the hesitation, that caused the hesitation. That small break towards second and then going back to first, that's what's given us this chance.
And Miller's first move did not get him. It was when he went down on the additional attempt. The question is, where was Gordon's hand in relation to the bag? And from what we've seen, we were a little screened out. Well, they made a decision, and so he did get back. So the Rays challenge it. The call stands. And it's 2-1 to count to Gene Segura. Just missed with that pitch. 3-1. The top of this lineup can be an issue. And Gordon using his speed, reaching on the infield hit. Segura second in the league in total hits. Up in the count. And a fly ball back into left. Field in front of the track will make the catch. And back to first goes D. Gordon. Segura down off the end of the bat a little bit there.
Change up, a little bit more elevated than Snell has been all day, and Segura's such a good hitter. Coming in today with 78 hits. That's second in the AL, just behind Jose Altuve. And if you make a mistake to him, he's been making it pay. And you know, Blake Snell really with the first mistake of the day, but was able to get away with it because he's been so sharp.
Mitch Haniger. Haniger third in the league and runs batted in.
Well, obviously this isn't the Yankees lineup or the Red Sox lineup, and they don't get the pub that say that an Astros lineup gets, being the defending World Series champs, but they're kind of hidden up here in the Pacific Northwest, and you can't sleep on a number of these guys in this lineup. Yeah, there might be a couple of guys that you can kind of pick your spots and go after, but Mitch Haniger, I think, is one of those guys that if he played east of the Mississippi, a lot more baseball people in our neck of the woods would know about it.
Runner goes, good jump, throw down, good throw, but it skips away and will be backed up by Robertson. And a stolen base for Gordon.
Well, D. Gordon, you know, obviously we already talked about it, how he has 18 stolen bases on the year, 2 stolen bases in last night's game. And here you see Sucre. I mean, look, it's a good throw. And it was just such a good jump, and he has so much speed. You see the jump here. He was just waiting for his chance to go to second base. That reminds me of the first game we saw against D. Gordon, where he was taking the stolen base. The throw bounced off his back, and he actually took third base in the same play. He's so aggressive. It's so good on the base.
Tops in the majors now with 19 steals. Yeah, what a jump he had. And Sucre's throw was timely and very good. Haniger takes that pitch for ball 2.
That's why I kind of agree. I do agree with the fact that the Rays challenged that play at first base. If you might be able to get him off first, if the umpires see just a little something that would get him off first, hey, thank you very much. The chance unfortunately didn't work.
It's a strike on a fastball. Well, he went 3-2 with Haniger, struck him out in the first on a slider. 8 strikeouts the first time through the order for Blake Snell. Gordon reaching on the infield hit, has stolen second. He's there with 1 out. Haniger, the number 3 hitter, with Cruz on deck. 3-1. That is Cruz. Side of third. The count will be 3-2 for the second straight time.
Here in the 13th inning.
Decided this game here, the first game of the series, in the 13th inning, when he hit that home run to right center field, giving Seattle a 4-3 win.
Matt fell behind him 3-1, snuck a fastball by him, but then tried to do it a second time, and Haniger said, not so fast, this game's over. He is, again, a really good run producer, and you got to pick your poison here, him, or are you going to go with the guy that's on deck, who was the AL RBI leader a year ago?
3-2 pitch. And a tap foul. The one thing we've seen with Haniger in this series, he works the count, sees a lot of pitches, fouls pitches away. So the challenge facing Snell.
By my count, he's been on base 6 times in the series. Rays have done a pretty good job of taking care of the 1-2 punch at the top of the order. They've only scored a couple of runs, but Haniger, as you said, Dwayne, has really been a thorn in the side of the Rays pitchers so far in this series, and Blake Snell trying to take care of that right here.
Strike 3 called. He got him looking with a fastball on the outside corner. Nicely done right there. A very big out. 2 gone now. 96 away on the corner.
Yeah, right here, you can tell by the reaction of Haniger, he's looking for something else. He knew it was a strike. To me, it looked like he was looking for the slider. And Blake Snell coming behind it with the 96-mile-an-hour, perfectly located fastball, outside corner. And now you get to face Nelson Cruz, who actually is hitting 400 off of Snell coming into today.
Yeah, so 2 for 5.
Yeah, so you get to see him with a base open on first base. So you can be a little more creative with this at bat.
And the lefty coming up after him.
Kyle Seager is on deck.
Now that's a direct approach right there from all the sliders and the curveballs and the strikeouts earlier. You had, again, as you said, Haniger probably looking for something with a little bit of a wrinkle to it, and it comes in at 96, 97. There is no way you're adjusting that way to get to that pitch.
First pitch, fastball. Cruz takes that one for a strike.
Inside.
.29 runs batted in for Cruz. Nicely done. 0-2.
Well, Snell attacking Cruz early inside corner. The second straight at bat, he started him with a fastball inside corner and then followed it with a slider. Here you see him get ahead 0-2 quickly.
This one will skip away from Sucre, and Gordon will go over to third. Well, that's going to be a wild pitch, that slider breaking down into the dirt. So to third goes Gordon. The count is 1-2 on Cruz.
Well, here it is, just Snell trying to get a little too nasty on an 0-2 pitch. You know, sometimes you get out there and you start thinking, I got to throw it harder instead of locate it a little bit better. And because he tried to get a little extra onto that, yanked it, and now that was a wild pitch, allowing D. Gordon to get to third base.
He got him. A swing and a miss. Great job by Snell right there, pitching around that leadoff scratch hit. 2 more strikeouts, 1-0 Rays.
Blake Snell's father, Dave. Dave, thank you so much for joining us. So what is it like watching Blake pitch here in Seattle?
Oh, it's pretty cool. You know, he's been looking forward to this moment, and you know, I just get to sit back and watch him get after it. So what happens, happens.
What is the best part of watching him pitch here?
You know, I seen him grow up here. You know, coached him a lot. He pitched here in his high school year, and he just always wanted to come back here and pitch. And he's pretty dialed in right now.
Yeah, he is, and you do have a baseball background. What did you say to him before today's game, because it's clearly working?
I just told him to go out and be who he is and do what you've been doing all year, and you know, the rest will take care of itself.
Now, when he was growing up, did you have any idea that he was going to be as successful as he's been so far in the big leagues?
I thought he'd have a shot, you know, being a lefty and stuff, and you know, he had a growth spurt, and that helped him a lot, and he's pretty focused.
Well, thank you so much. We'll let you get back to watching this game. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Back to you guys in the booth.
All right, Michelle. Well, a proud father right there, and Blake Snell having a great day. 10 strikeouts, giving up just 1 hit and holding this 1-0 lead. And a nice job right there by Johnny Field. I'll tell you, he does it all. A bunt single here. And we've talked about it the other night. He plays hard, plays the game the right way, and has been such a positive addition coming out of the Rays farm system.
Finds a way to win, finds a way to try and beat you. And a bunch of scrappy McScrappersons on this team coming from Durham.
Sucre bounces this one foul, strike 1.
I mean, I know we've got some guys, Dwayne, that we're and Doug, that we're really kind of counting on to come up and maybe be able to take us to the next level. Everybody's talking about Jake Bowers and Willie Adames, and now Joe McCarthy's name is popping up and a few others. But you know, Johnny Field is one of those guys. Kian Wong. You don't win a AAA championship with the youngest team in minor league baseball by having all superstars. It's just not going to happen. These guys are gamers, and they find ways to beat you.
0-2 through the coaching box, foul.
Although I think if Kyle Seager would have been able to make that play, I think I'm packing up and I'm starting to head to watch it.
That's the first play we.
Yeah,
I mean, my goodness. I mean, that was.
Well, we found one that he can't make.
Yeah.
It's got to be foul. You know, Johnny Field, he does so many things so well, and he's been surprisingly really good for the team.
Pitch inside to Sucre.
You know, I say surprisingly, we just didn't think he was going to be this good, this young, but he does everything for you. You know, coming into today, over the last 4 games, he's got 2 jacks, so he can go big fly. Now you just see him drop a bunt down, which I think was perfect timing on that bunt.
Yep.
Because you see Felix Hernandez, a veteran guy who's locked in right now. Why not try to get him to move around a little bit?
Field leading off this inning with that bunt single. For the second time in 5, the Rays have the leadoff man on. They scored their run when Robertson singled with 2 outs in the 4th. Was doubled home by Miller. That's a line drive, base hit into left. Fields advances to second, and Sucre is aboard. So the 8 and 9 hitters on. They get us back around to the top of the lineup with nobody out.
Well,
this is where you really feel like you need to score some runs. When your 8 and 9 guys get on and you're turning the lineup over to the top of the order, there's a reason why they're there, and you've got to hope now that the Rays can add on. You look at Felix's numbers so far this year, and I know I touched on the first inning with a 12 ERA, but he's given up 4 and 5 and 6 runs in outings. So it's all not just in the first inning. This is where the Rays hitters need to make adjustments and start to tack on and give Blake a little cushion, because Blake has been that good. He might not need it, but it sure would be nice to get a couple more runs.
Well, we mentioned that the last few outings have been difficult for Hernandez. 5 runs, 5 earned runs in 5 innings against Texas. 4 earned runs in 6 innings against Oakland the time before. Bunt attempt by Malik Smith, and it's foul. Strike 1.
Well, this situation right here, if you're Malik Smith, you know, obviously sacrifice bunt. You're doing everything you can just to get this ball down. Get these guys second and third scoring position so we can have the meat of the order coming up. And, you know, see him off-speed pitch early in the count, foul it off. And a lot of times, you know, people think it's easier to bunt the off-speed pitches. Not so much. I mean, you know, a curveball typically is down, but that pitch was elevated. Anything up in the zone is hard to get down, or harder to get the bunt down.
He bunts this one. Hernandez will go to first, and the Rays successfully move the runners up. Both men in scoring position. Malik's putting down the sacrifice with Gordon covering the bag at first. So Fields at third, Sucre's at second. And now a great opportunity for the Rays to add on with C.J. Cron up here and Joey Wendell due to follow.
Looked to me like Hernandez was just thinking right away from the get-go, I'm going to get the out at first. You always think you might have a play at second base with a catcher running, and I thought maybe, just maybe he did, but he was so focused on making sure he got one out, he just went after Malik's first.
Long one deep down the line and left, but that ball is going to be a foul ball. So Cron jumping on the first pitch, but ripping it foul.
Boy, you see another Ray swinging that first pitch. I mean, there is no waiting around on these at-bats. Obviously, Chad Mottola and the scouting report going over with these Rays hitters. You know, when you see something early from Felix Hernandez, go ahead and take a hack.
And that pitch hits him. This is the 9th time Cron has been hit by a pitch this year. As you could tell by that immediate reaction, this one did more than sting.
Yeah, C.J. Cron, tough guy. You know, obviously looking to check his swing here, and it looks like the fastball just rode in on the hands, on the forearm area.
Checked his swing too. They asked if he had swung, and he did not, but they're taking a look at that right forearm just around or below the wrist.
Yeah.
Joe Bench out there to take a peek and doing the old, hey, give me a grip to see how it's feeling. But those are scary moments, and Mel Stoudemire Jr. coming out to talk with Felix Hernandez. The Rays in a position right here to open this game up a little bit, and CJ still feeling the effects of that hit by pitch.
Well, the bases are loaded with Joey Wendell due up.
Here you see
another
it.
look at that hit by pitch.
Oh, good shot right there.
Yeah.
You see exactly where it got him, just below the right wrist. Boy, there's not a lot of meat there. And anytime there's not a lot of muscle, that can be really painful.
And it was not a glancing blow. You could see by the way it hit off the wrist and it went straight down. I mean, sometimes if it's a glancing blow, it's going to skim off the wrist and by the catcher, but that one's going to leave a mark. He's going to be a little sore from that hit by pitch.
Waiting on the mound over. Crone at first, Sucre at second, Field at third. This inning started on the bunt single by Field. Here's Joey Wendell. And a breaking ball to start him is in there for a strike. Against left-handed hitters, that curveball has been the second weapon he's gone. The pitch inside, fastball, curveball, a lot to lefties this year.
Well, the pitch that's been given Wendell fits most of the season is that back foot breaking ball. They really try to get that breaking ball underneath his hands, try to keep the ball off the barrel of his bat, and he's had a tough time laying off that pitch too.
And he's going back with that breaking ball, and a little foul ball 1-2, and that's the issue you're talking about.
I thought that was a hittable pitch though. That was a breaking ball that kind of stayed out over the outer part of the plate. The one that really gets him a lot of times is the one that is right underneath his hands or bounces around his feet and he can't hold up. So we'll see if Felix maybe trying to set him up for that pitch with that backdoor breaking ball.
And he goes out there and strikes him out. So Wendell got a steady diet of the breaking stuff. And a big strikeout for Felix Hernandez.
Yeah, Hernandez not throwing any fastballs this entire at bat. That was the third curveball that he's seen. Second one in a row that ended up being outside corner. He was talking about he wanted to go under the hands like Dave was saying, but he missed his location but got away with it.
I think as a hitter you talk yourself into it too. He's going to throw me a curveball, going to throw me a curveball.
Matt Duffy
threw him a curveball, and here's the curveball. I'm going to swing at it. I was looking for it. I got it. And you swing at it even though it's not in the zone.
Duffy hit by a pitch in the second. Hit a fly ball to left in the fourth. Two and nothing.
First fastball you've seen from a while. Felix Hernandez, 91 miles an hour. It actually looked pretty good. Not getting the call.
Couple of hits, hit batter, bases loaded. Two gone. And now ball three. If he takes that one down.
I should probably wait until after something happens in this at bat, but I don't know about you guys, but this is the guy that I want at the plate in a situation like this on the Rays right now. This is the guy I feel most comfortable with, Matt Duffy, in situations like this.
He takes a strike. 3-1 now.
Duffy with 3 hits in the series so far. You see his
.342.
runners in scoring position. I mean, Dave, you said it. This is the guy you're pinpointing to have up in this situation. Hopefully, he can get something done for us.
And now full count.
I knew I shouldn't have said anything.
He should have held off. Yeah, he's almost pitching backwards. We see 2 straight fastballs, and Duffy obviously looking for something else.
Well, Hernandez falling behind 3-0. Now back to 3-2. Duffy hits it right back to the mound. The toss, and the Rays leave him loaded, missing a big opportunity. Bottom of inning 5 coming, 1-0 Tampa Bay.
better. You see 8 strikeouts so far on the slider curveball combination. Those 2 pitches have just been devastating. He's been setting it up with a 97-mile-an-hour fastball and then coming behind it with both the 88-mile-an-hour slider and 83-mile-an-hour curveball. The tilt, the depth to the pitch, and the location have been perfect today, Dwayne.
And the 3rd career 10-plus strikeout game. 73 pitches through 4. He started this game by striking out the first 7 and 8 of the first 9 hitters. Seager takes the first pitch strike. Snell got him on a 95-mile-per-hour fastball in the 2nd inning. And there's a strike on the outside corner. Stay around that zone. Just be consistent. You'll pick up a call. And Blakeney prone to calling strikes anyway. He's a little more of a strike guy than some.
I think you can get umpires into a rhythm, though, can't you, Doug?
Yes.
I mean, if you are around the plate and you've got a catcher that's doing a pretty good job of securing the strike, as we like to say, I think you can get an umpire into a rhythm with you and the catcher as well.
I think it's a reward for a pitcher who's been throwing well the entire game. You're throwing a lot of strikes. Those borderline calls should be called strikes. Now, obviously, I was a pitcher and I want everything called strike.
This is fouled out of play. Well, that's a history of Blakeney. He is above average, above the league average when it comes to strikes versus balls, and what that league average is. And a wave and a miss. Down to first with Miller getting the put out. Strikeout number 11. Here's what's coming up Tuesday on Rays Live. Pre-game show presented by your local Honda dealers. We'll preview the Eovaldi Scherzer matchup, and Orestes will break down Bryce Harper as the Rays take this road trip east and move in to the nation's capital. Ryan Healy. First pitch strike.
Not looking forward to seeing Max Scherzer, but I am looking forward to seeing Davey Martinez, the national skipper. Glad he's getting a chance, and after a little bit of a rough beginning, they're starting to kind of play a little bit better, although the Braves aren't going anywhere.
Fastball in. Curveball, fastball to start Healy.
I don't know if it means anything. Bryce Harper saying that Dave Martinez, one of his favorite managers, maybe the favorite manager he has played for. May not play for him long, but doesn't hurt when you get the superstar on your side, I guess.
Yeah, that doesn't hurt at all.
Did you guys see that they went 14 innings yesterday, and Scherzer actually got a hit in the 14th inning? Shows you, pitchers are the best athletes on the field, boys.
Ground ball and a base hit, shot past Duffy, diving to his left. So Healy off the fastball, singles sharply past Duffy at third.
Finding out that pitchers can hit, pitchers can steal bags. I think Scherzer did that earlier, and they can catch and throw fish. I mean, what else? what else there's to do for a pitcher than hit, steal bases, and throw some fish around?
I'm just glad I didn't catch that salmon in the face yesterday. Here you see a first base hit of the day for Seattle, and holy cow, how about how good Blake Snell has been so far, and actually second base hit of the day. But
first real hit.
Yeah, exactly. First real hit.
Heredia, 1 on, 1 out. That pitch very close in. Fastball off the plate just a bit.
You know what's funny is that same pitch was called a strike, but the difference is that was called a strike on a left-handed hitter. Now you see it going inside to a right-handed hitter. Blakeney not giving the call. That's the second time I've seen him not give that call today.
This one up and in, a little roller, going to be fair. Duffy's throw to first will get Heredia. And Healy moves into second. Well, just in case You missed it last night. I don't know how you could. But here's Doug Wechter, not only showing great hands and catching that fish, but a pretty good fish toss as well.
Yeah, that fish is actually real slick. Look, it's really slick. It wasn't like they just gave me some like fake fish. They're like, oh, okay, you know, he's a TV guy. We'll give him a layup here. That guy launched that fish at me like, you know,
what are the keys? What are the keys to catching a fish?
Well,
soft hands, moving the hands.
Yeah, you got to go up there. You got to close your eyes when it's coming close to you. Duck and cover, just like I did when I was on the mound.
Yeah, a lot of rosin.
A lot of rosin, pine tar and rosin.
Denard Span fouling it out of play. Strike one.
Here's a good. Oh, look at the slow motion. Honestly, the top hand. It's the right hand. You got to squeeze hard, because if you don't, that baby. And you notice that nobody was standing behind me. There was zero confidence in me catching that fish.
I saw that, and it said we sell only salmon caught by Doug Wechter. So, I didn't know if it said caught in the wild or caught by Doug Wechter.
Those guys down there, great guys, and a lot of fun yesterday.
One ball, one strike.
Andy's a big salmon guy. Andy comes here and reaches deep into that pocket of his to get some of that Copper River salmon, and
you get that Copper River salmon running. You got to take advantage of that.
And I guess they
Great
had only a small group this year, so it was the last week it was available, and Andy was able to get a little Copper River salmon with Mark Topkin.
Tapper foul. Ball, two strikes.
Well, I went out there yesterday after I caught the fish. I actually got some seafood sent home.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, there's Andy right there. Big salmon fan. Yeah, I went out there, and you can ship it. So, you know, I got.
So when's the party?
Tuesday night. These crab legs, I'm telling you.
I think we're a little busy, aren't we, Dwayne?
These crab legs I got. Yeah, hey, boy,
I'll
be celebrating. I'll send you a picture.
Yeah.
1-2 lined into right. Gomez is there to make the catch. No runs, a hit, and a man left through 5. 1-0 Rays.
Pictures. I'm going to go home. The first thing I'm doing is getting like 10 sticks of butter.
Yeah.
Those crab legs. Oh, I'm excited.
Well, we go to the 6th. The Rays lead 1-0. And Daniel Robertson, who has scored the only run of the game, takes a strike. Robertson, Miller, and Gomez against Felix Hernandez. This ballpark has not necessarily been an offensive park, for sure. But for the Rays, it has really been a challenge. They have not scored more than 5 runs in this park, spread over 21 games now. Segura, the shortstop, handles this. Rays dropped last night's game 3-1. Lost the 13-inning game here on Friday 4-3, and offense has been an issue for the Rays. Of course, the guy in the middle of the infield right now, Felix Hernandez, has been a big part of that when the Rays come up here and face him.
I just don't remember him pitching every day, though. That might be. I mean, I know he pitched a lot against us, but not every day.
Brad Miller. Pitch is a strike. Miller double home the run. His 8th double of the year. 19th run batted in. It's 1-1.
I remember the Rays losing a 1-0 game here a number of years ago. I think Ichiro took James Shields deep. I think it was the first batter of the game, and then it ended up 1-0 for the final.
2-1. I mean, we love coming up here. It's a wonderful city.
Exactly.
The folks are great. Maybe the best ballpark in America, really. We talked about it the other night, Doug. This one in Houston, of the new ballparks, relatively new. Difficult to think of many much better than these two. But let's score some runs in this park.
We just got to figure out how to hit. That's all we got to do.
Has it become our new Kansas City? We exercised the demons in Kansas City the last couple of years. We haven't been able to do it here in Seattle.
And there's ball 4. The Rays got a base runner. So a walk issued by Felix Hernandez. To go with 5 hits and the run. A couple of hit batters in this game.
I'm with you, though, Dwayne. I think this is one of my, I've always put it in my top 5. When everybody asks what's your favorite ballpark, I don't know if I can ever say like there is a true number 1, but there's a top 5, and Seattle's in it. I think Houston's in it. San Francisco. I haven't been to San Diego yet. I like the new Minneapolis ballpark. I think that's got a lot of things to offer. But you know, when you look at this ballpark with a little bit of rain in the area, they pull the carport over. You still get some fresh air. They've got the great social areas out there in the outfield.
Yeah, you want it, they have it here.
Yeah.
Big cut and a miss by Gomez. Gomez has popped to third, grounded to short.
They added the brand new video board a few years ago. They've got the manually operated board, which for us broadcasters is always nice to see a score at all times.
You know, we were talking about that before the game. I think it's good for broadcasters, but good for fans as well. I think you do a disservice to fans if they have to go looking all over and something else is where their eyes went the last time they got the score. I think the scoreboard needs to be there. It's a frame of reference for fans and part of the fan experience.
Well, it's just the classic, you know, baseball scoreboard in the left field.
That ball in behind Zunino. By the time he finds it, Miller has advanced up to second base. So heads up by Miller, getting a good read on what will be a wild pitch. And now the Rays have a man in scoring position.
Well, we talked about it earlier in the game. A lot of time pitchers get ahead with 2 strikes. They try to get a little too nasty, and that's exactly what Hernandez did here with a curveball in the dirt. He ended up spiking it at 79 miles an hour, and Miller having no problem going down to second.
2-2.
Caught a little bit of a break too. Zunino, I thought, did a nice job of blocking it, but it then caromed off with a foot of Gomez and trickled out of the batter's circle. So again, nice read by Brad Miller. Sometimes the worst place to be on the field is on the field to see where a ball is, but he picked it up and was able to get to scoring position.
High popper back at third. Seager after it. He will run out of room. The count holds at 2-2.
Well, I don't think there's a player on this team that is more amped up from the beginning of the game to the end of the game than Carlos Gomez. He also likes to have some fun. He had a great time. We saw a couple of times in Oakland borrowing a fan's sunglasses. When one of the bats went flying from one of the Oakland hitters, he went down and tried to cover up. But this is a big spot for him not to try too hard.
3-2. You might be asking the impossible right there.
Yeah, I don't think he goes. You know, I remember our old skipper used to say, "Hey, try easier." I don't think that's in his vocabulary. But if the King wants to walk him, he's got to take it. Rays need to get some base runners and maybe, just maybe, start to get that Seattle bullpen going, because Felix has been able to make some pitches when he's had to.
3-2, and it's shot fouled into the seats again, back at third.
Good defensive
Back out
swing.
it comes.
That was a nice defensive swing.
Choking up, trying to put it in play. If he would have made solid contact with that, that's going 500 feet. It's funny, I mean, you look at Hernandez, and every time, here we go, every time he gets into a pinch, he goes straight to the off-speed pitches. There's a curveball right there, 3-2.
3-2 again. And a cut and a miss. Gomez, big swing, pulling off. Out number 2.
Well, the reason he was able to get him here, and this is an 89-mile-an-hour fastball, the reason he threw that pitch by him, well, 2 reasons. It was well located, but secondly, he's been pitching backwards. That's one of the only fastballs Gomez has seen all game. And I guarantee you, if you ask him what he was looking for, it probably wasn't that pitch.
That swing usually is not laid on 89.
No.
Not that type of swing.
Now Johnny Field bunted his way aboard in the 5th inning. The Rays left the bases loaded. It's a wave and a miss. Another curveball to start him. Now the Rays left the bases loaded in the 5th. They left a man in scoring position in the 4th when they scored a run. Have a man in scoring position right now. So opportunities have been here in the middle part of this game. And Field quickly finds himself down 0-2. A lot of off-speed stuff. Change-ups, sliders, curveballs, occasional fastball. This one is down and covered up by Zunino.
Yeah, a lot of times you talk about like smoke and mirrors. When you say a pitcher's getting everybody out with smoke and mirrors, that means, you know, he's not throwing with great stuff. He's pitching backwards. Well, Hernandez still has good stuff. You know, he's still pitching at 90, 91 miles an hour when he needs it. The good tilt to the curveball, nice drop to the changeup, but he just has to set it up so differently.
Knocked again by Zunino, 2-2.
It's not the electric stuff that he had 4 or 5 years ago. Maybe a little more battery powered right now, but you know, still battery power can get it done. And like we said, we talked about the pitchability and moving the ball in and out. He hasn't fallen in any kind of a trap and any kind of a, you know, sequence that any Rays hitter can kind of sit back on. Other than it looks like he is starting guys out early with breaking balls, as you said, pitching backwards. But now 2 strikes on a guy, he can go to any pitch he wants, and that's one of the reasons why he's limited the Rays to 1 run.
And a cut and a miss. He strikes out Field. Off speed again. Ball game moves into the bottom of the 6th. 1-0 Rays.
1-0 against the Mariners. Well, in your Chevy Prospect Spotlight, we're taking a look at outfielder Justin Williams. We've heard a lot about him in AAA Durham, and in the last 15 games, he's hitting .300 even with 2 home runs and a .520 slugging percentage. He was the Diamondbacks' second-round pick in 2013 and then was traded to the Rays in 2014. Guys.
All right, thank you. And here in Seattle, Blake Snell back to the mound, 11 strikeouts to begin the bottom of the 6th inning. First pitch to Zunino is down for a ball. It's 2-0. Super gets rid of that baseball. Snell allowing 2 hits, a bunt single by Gordon, and a 1-out single by Healy in the 4th and 5th innings respectively, and there's a strike to make it 2-1 on the catcher Mike Zunino.
Well, there's the maturity level of Blake Snell. You see Blake Snell fall behind the number 9 hitter 2-0, and instead of just pumping a fastball right down the middle, he goes changeup outside corner for the strike.
There's a cut and a miss back with the mid-90s fastball. You know, that's been his tendency all along with his secondary pitches. He's had great confidence in those, and that's one of the reasons when that first pitch strike ratio is down, he still had success. There's a foul ball outside of third. Those secondary pitches.
And I guess what that means is, boy, oh boy, can you imagine how good he's going to get or can get
yeah.
if he does throw first pitch strikes? I think there's still another level or two to Blake Snell's game that Rays fans are going to be very, very pleased to see in the very, very near future.
Pitch in on Zunino, fastball at 96. He fouls it away. And we've seen a couple glimpses of that, a couple games at a time where that first pitch ratio starts to move in that direction.
It just makes it easier on himself, you know.
Right now he's just 8 of 18.
Yeah, 8 of 18, and he's just been in total control today.
And a swing and a miss at that pitch, breaking into the dirt. Zunino, the first out in the 6th, and that's a dozen strikeouts. Enhance your next game day experience with the MLB Ballpark app. Access and manage your tickets. Enjoy check-in offers, exclusive content, and a lot more. Download the MLB Ballpark app today. One away, and we go back to the top of the order for Seattle. D. Gordon. There's a first pitch strike.
I'm digging the game, but I'm also kind of digging this experience. I mean, you know, over in the radio side, it's just usually me and Andy and an engineer. We got to do everything ourselves. You guys got all these guys to help out. You guys shower and bathe in Evian water too, or what?
You know what?
It's just a different level over here. My goodness. No wonder you have to wear shirts and ties.
And not only does Doug get a beverage, but he gets 2 of them at a time.
2 iced coffees. We're in Seattle,
Sunday
guys.
fun day, baby.
Gotta stay caffeinated.
Roller out to second. Wendell with the pickup and the toss. So strikeout and a ground out. 2 up, 2 down in the 6th.
I'm glad I got an off day tomorrow to ease back into just taking care of myself on Tuesday. Not invited to Doug's party. Got to get everything myself on Tuesday.
You know, I knew when I said yes, can I please have a coffee? You know, I was going to get it from both of you guys.
Yes, Mr. Wechter.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, Mr. Wechter.
That's right.
That doesn't happen at every ballpark. That's just part of this ballpark experience. It makes it so great.
I told him going in that this is the best booth. Well,
Jazz Rowe up in the bullpen. Segura shoots it foul out of play.
It's the best TV booth I've ever been in. I mean, it's the best one that I've been in so far, too. You guys have set the bar high, I'm telling you.
Well, you start at the top.
Thanks for the warning.
Yeah.
Ground ball to short. Robertson's toss, and it's a 3 up, 3 down inning for Blake Snell. We head into the 7th inning from Seattle. 1-0 Rays.
video with hashtag Hats Off for Heroes. For each post, T-Mobile will donate $1 to support veterans.
Oh, we talk about Blake Snell. How about Felix Hernandez's night? 6 strikeouts through 6 innings, only giving up 1 run so far. He's been doing it by pitching backwards. He's got 85 pitches today. Only 21 of those 85 pitches are fastballs. He's been utilizing the curveball and the changeup a lot more often, throwing that fastball selectively, and here you see him 6 innings in. Look at that spread. I mean, you 34 changeups. You know, we knew he was going to throw the curveball a little bit more today, and then the fastball coming in third.
Well, here's Sucre. Pitch is down and away, 1-0.
Well, this is his best start since his first start of the season against Cleveland. 5 1/3, 2 hits, no runs. Not too far off that pace here today.
Sucre checked on this one.
He asked him to check his own.
Yeah.
Well, Blake Snell with 100 pitches under his belt right now. Fly ball the opposite way, back into right. Handiger toward the corner will make the catch. Well, you saw Snell in the conversation there. There was some question, would he go out for another inning? 114 is his high pitch count. He's done that twice, and he's got a little conversation going right there that would tend to give you the idea that he's not going to go back.
Yeah, he looks pretty relaxed, you know, having a conversation with Archer. Typically, if you're going back into the game, you're going to be sitting down at this point. So, you know, we assume that it might be either Rowe or looks like Venners might be up in the pen as well.
Double barrel action out there in the bullpen. Johnny Venners joining Chaz Rowe. And, you know, again, I know you've got to protect that left arm, and he's a very, very young pitcher, but boy, oh boy, it'd be awful hard to take him out if I was the manager.
1 ball and 1 strike, but you're not. You're up here in the booth getting room service.
That's right. It's, you know what? You never lose the game up here. It's a lot easier.
Right. That's exactly right. There's a breaking ball over for strike 2. Alex is behind 1-2.
Could make things a lot easier though if the Rays could tack on a couple of runs. It's awful hard to win 1-0 on the road.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
1-0 at home too. It's just you've got to be really, really good in every other aspect if you're going to win 1-0. And the pitching part's been good.
Christian Arroyo there on deck. That spot held by C.J. Cron. There's a wave and a miss. But Cron hit by a pitch in the 5th. So he's not going to hit. Let's check in with Michelle.
Thanks, Dwayne. Yeah, Cron has been removed from the game due to a right forearm contusion. The x-rays were negative, so I'll keep you guys updated if I find anything more out.
Thank you very much on that update. That's bad news and good news. Yeah, negative on the x-rays, but that's the good news. Bad news is that he leaves the lineup. And a breaking ball now to Arroyo. He takes it for a ball.
Yeah, Cron coming in 273 over his last 8 games. Obviously, he's a big part of this offense. It's tough to see him go.
Ground ball, deep short. Segura sets up for the throw and makes it. 3 up, 3 down go the Rays in the 7th. 7th inning stretch time here for Seattle. 1-0 Rays. and made his family and friends proud.
Yep, there you see it. I mean, 12 strikeouts. A lot of them coming on the curveball slider combination. He had 9 just on that slider curveball combination, and just filthy. He's been doing it all year, just pitching lights out against the Mariners offense, who's been doing extremely well. They've taken the first 2 games of the series, and here you see Blake Snell go out there and pitch 6 solid innings, not give up a run, not walk anybody. So his control was there the entire time, and he's handing the ball off to Chaz Rowe, making his 28th appearance of the year, leading the bullpen for the Rays in appearances, only giving up 3 home runs. The strikeout to walk ratio, you got 25-8, and that's that big slider that he's going to be relying on going against this Mariners lineup.
Well, 12 strikeouts for Blake Snell. His career high coming into this year had been 13. That was against Baltimore. 12 today.
I know that'll pump up your pitch count a little bit, but he got to 100 a lot quicker than I thought. I mean, I never really felt that maybe outside of a couple of at-bats where he was even in trouble and lengthy at-bats, he was just in total command today. And again, a nice growth moment for him, doing it in front of friends and family. And like I said, there's just that one step maybe to be able to go a little bit deeper into games, and who knows?
Well,
someday maybe he gets to 120.
Twice this year he'd made 114 pitches in a game, and now Rowe facing Haniger fouls it. He had 10 strikeouts in his 3rd start of the year. That was against the White Sox, and 12 strikeouts in this one here in Seattle. So it's in the hands of the Rays bullpen, beginning with Chaz Rowe. Back at third, nice backhand pick. Rowe to first, is in time, and a good play by Duffy.
Well, how nice is it to see us repay this Mariners team with one of our plays on third base? I mean, we've seen Seager on the Mariners side make so many outstanding plays, and here you see it. The Bonefish, fresh catch of the day, of the game, and Duffy doing a good job with that range, going to his right. Not easily done. He had to stop, change his momentum, throw a strike over to first base. Job well done by Matt Duffy.
And got over the top with that throw. He sometimes drops down to 3/4, and I think that's when he gets that little sink to some of his throws that hop in over at first base, but got on top that time and threw a laser across the diamond. That was impressive.
Wilson Cruz takes a strike.
I know there's probably a lot of fans, Dwayne and Doug, that are bemoaning the fact that we take out Blake after 100 pitches. Looked like he didn't even break a sweat, but I guess, on the day that you're going to be sending your opening day starter to Philadelphia to get a groin checked out, you've got another minor leaguer that went down, as Anthony Banda is going to be coming back to St. Petersburg to get a forearm strain checked out. So, better to be safe than sorry, I think, in this situation. And this is why you've got Chaz Rowe and Jose Alvarado and Johnny Venters to be able to get these outs in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings.
This pitch is inside 2-1. Well, the Rays are hopeful that they'll get Chirinos back in the not too distant future. That would help, but you are concerned when, in this case, the young left-hander Banda is going to be looked at. The Rays have had a difficult run of arm issues. 2-2 now on Cruz.
Stayed away from it for so long. I think we had a stretch there where we didn't have a pitcher have a Tommy John surgery for a number of years, and I'm not saying that's where Bond is headed. You're always a little nervous about forearm issues, but well, Yanni Chirinos had a forearm issue, and he's going to be back here soon, so maybe he just needs some rest. But it seems like it's right now the Rays are getting piled on by the arm injuries, and that's why I can understand them sitting Blake down after 100.
A cut and a miss. Cruz out on strikes. Boy, when Rowe is right with that slider at varying widths, he'll get that thing and it just runs and runs. Gets the 2 men he's called upon to get. And now the left-handed bat of Kyle Seager is due, and the Rays will make a call to the bullpen. Brought to you by the Florida Lottery. games. So add a little play to your day with these new games. The Florida Lottery. It's your ticket. Claim it. Must be 18 or older to play. Play responsibly. Johnny Venters enters this game with Seager due up.
Yep, Johnny Venters, here you see it, 14th appearance of the year. He's coming in on 8 straight outings where he has not given up a hit. So actually, excuse me, has not given up a run. So he's obviously throwing the ball well. You see the ERA under a 1. He's got the 1 win and he's got the 1 save on the years. Throwing the ball lights out. His velocity is actually creeping back up in that 92, 93 mile an hour range, which you love to see from a guy who's coming off of a 3rd Tommy John surgery.
First pitch to Seager. Fastball down and in off the plate. Ball, no strikes.
We haven't seen the strikeouts as much as he had back when he was with the Braves, but as you said, the fastball the other day in Oakland, I thought I said 94, 95. A lot of ground ball out stuff.
There's a strike. 1 to count.
But I think just like we talked about with Felix Hernandez most of the game, here's a guy that just knows how to do it. Just knows how to get guys out.
Romo, the right-handed. The ground ball down to Miller at first. Takes care of Seager. And Seattle here in the bottom of the 7th. 3 up and 3 down. We go to the 8th. 1-0 Rays. To you by your Southern Chevy dealers. By Eldorado Furniture, the Memorial Day sales event going on now. And by your local Ford dealers. 1-0. Rays picked up the lone run in this game in the 4th inning. Brad Miller doubled home Daniel Robertson. We go to the 8th. Joey Wendell will lead it off, to be followed by Matt Duffy and then Daniel Robertson again. Felix Hernandez beginning the 8th inning. Pitch is in there, first pitch strike. Hernandez closing in on 100 pitches. This is upstairs. 1-1. His high pitch count this year, 105. It was 3 starts ago against Detroit. Pitching into the 8th inning. Chop to the right side. Gordon closes the hole on the right side. So Wendell is out of there.
Well, Hernandez just continuing to be out there, very comfortable. Another out on an off-speed pitch. Bezos warming up in the bullpen just in case Hernandez gets into a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, Pazos, all he does is throw strikes.
That's right, with 20 strikeouts to 1 walk ratio going into this series.
Here's Matt Duffy. Ground ball third. Seager. And There's that. So a couple of quick outs here in the 8th inning. This is the deepest into a game Felix Hernandez has gone this year. He had a 6 1/3 against Oakland. That was in the middle of April. And look at the pitch count right now, standing at 99. 2 outs, bases empty in the 8th.
Yeah, it's that 3rd and 4th inning. He only threw a combined 12 pitches total to get through both those innings. That's really kept him in this ball game. You know, and also the fact that he hasn't struck out a ton. He's up around the 7 strikeout mark, so he has struck out a few, but
strike 1 to Robertson.
As opposed to Blake Snell striking out 12, the strikeouts take a lot of pitches typically over the course of a game. So when you strike out 12 in Blake Snell, your pitch count is going to be a little bit more elevated.
It's close. Robertson has 2 of the 5 hits for the Rays. Only 7 total hits in this game. It's way wide.
And it's not like the Rays are just going up there and swinging at first pitches. They've tried a little bit of everything. We've had some guys aggressive going after pitches early in the count. We've had a couple guys work the count. It's just a credit right now to Felix Hernandez. He's been able to get the outs.
And a little wide right there. Takes the count to 3-1.
That area out in front of home plate is going to have to be filled back up with some dirt. The Rays have been knocking the ball into that spot an awful lot today.
There's a strike. Upper part of the zone, just catching the zone up there. The count is full.
See a fastball elevated up in the zone, hitting the top right, up and in corner. Tough pitch either way for Robertson.
And a foul ball. Fastball about the same spot.
Yep.
Doug, I know that there are different venues and it's supposed to be 60 feet 6 inches from every mound to the plate, but depth perception can play into how you feel sometimes on the mound. But when you're facing a particular team that you've had success against, I know the names and faces change, but can that help too? And I think right now Felix is very confident against the Rays.
Ground ball to third. Seager across the diamond. 3 ground ball outs in the 8th. Bottom of the 8th coming up. 1-0 Tampa Bay. Your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. And by your local Honda dealer. Rays lead this one as we take a look right there in the corner of David Edgar.
Yeah.
Safeco Field. This is the last year it will be Safeco Field. Don't know what it'll be next year, but apparently not going to be Safeco. And Jose Alvarado will take over on the mound. He becomes pitcher number 4 for Kevin Cash.
Well, Alvarado just pitching lights out so far. You see his numbers for the year. He's coming in for his 25th appearance. You see the home runs allowed 0, and then the opponent average only 181. He's got that big power fastball, comes behind it with a nice curveball. Slider is what he calls it, and that off-speed pitch has been devastating for him lately.
Ryan Healy leads off. First pitch. Fastball off the mid of Sucre. Ball 1. On the third of an inning for Venters, 2/3 for Rowe in relief of Snell, who worked the front 6. And now it's Alvarado, who pitched here the other night, an inning and 2/3 in the Friday game. Upstairs, 2-0. Guillermo Heredia, followed by Denard Span, with Healy leading off the inning. And another pitch up. Alvarado quickly falling behind 3-0.
You know, Dave, you're talking about the confidence that you can have after getting some success early going against a certain team.
And ball 4. Alvarado in and gives up the first walk issued by Rays pitching.
Obviously not something Alvarado wanted to do with the leadoff walk. But, you know, Dave, you were talking about it, and yeah, with me, I had the situation where I actually went against Seattle. I threw pretty well against Seattle my entire career, and I just always felt confident going against that club. You know, I made my major league debut against them. The very next game, I was able to shut them out. And from then on, I just felt like I was going to have a good game going in. So, you know, it does help mentally when you're comfortable going out there. And, you know, I always love coming here. So being comfortable in this environment in Seattle, and that always helps too.
Sure seems like it's the same way with King Felix, because whatever's been ailing him throughout his career, he gets better when he sees the Tampa Bay Rays. And he pitched a marvelous ball game today, his best of the season. I'm hoping he's done for the day.
Romine is running at first after the leadoff walk to Healy. Here's Heredia. He puts down the bunt. It's a good one. Alvarado makes a throw to first, and it pops out of the mid of Miller. And over to third base goes Romine. Well, there was a little hesitation on the part of Alvarado to begin with, but the throw was there, and it popped away from Miller.
Yeah, you see
First and third, and nobody out.
When you see it out of Alvarado, just, you know, at first he has a couple good steps, and then he just slows down. And because he slowed down, he felt like he needed to put a little bit of extra heat on the throw. And that might have played some type of games with Brad Miller over at first base. Here you see it. It looks like the throw is fairly accurate. Unable to make the play. Now you got a man on first and third. No outs.
It's going to go down as a sacrifice E3.
Big error here.
You're right, though, about Jose. It looked like he was kind of just approaching that like it was pitcher's fielding practice. This is a game speed. You can't take it casually. Try to make up for it.
The hitter, the ground ball, and a base hit to right. That's going to tie the game. Heredia is going to go to third. Span ties it with a single into right.
Well, Dwayne and Doug, we talked earlier about if you're going to win a one-run game or a 1-0 game, the other aspects of your game have to be almost perfect, if not perfect. In this inning alone, a leadoff walk on 4 pitches, a sacrifice bunt that wasn't handled well that led to an error, and now you bring up a veteran like Denard Span, and he takes the first pitch he sees from a guy that he watched pitch for the first couple of months of this season and just laced it in the right field. And the imperfection of the Rays here in the 8th inning is coming back to haunt them, and now they're going to have a tough time staying tied.
Big trouble now, first and third, nobody out. And here is Zunino. The pitch is wide, 1 ball, no strikes. Infield up for the Rays. Game has been tied in the bottom of the 8th. Well, you were hopeful after the great job Snell did, they could hang on to this lead and reward him with a win. That's not going to happen. Walk, sacrifice, the error on Miller, and the RBI single by Span. And this pitch down and in, and it was dropped right in front of the plate, blocked there. And for a moment, Sucre had no idea where that ball was. Let's take a look at this on the replay.
Yeah, fastball yank, glove side from Alvarado. Sucre just doing a good job of stopping it, obviously not knowing where it was for a second. Lucky for the Rays, honestly, that Span didn't move up on that pitch.
Might have lost the baseball in his teammate's jersey right there. And you're right, it keeps the double play in order, but the Rays infield in, they're more concerned about cutting down that run at the plate.
Cutting a miss. 2-1 on the fastball from Alvarado.
Well, you just really, Seattle, the team that, you know, we've talked about how much the Rays have played close games. Seattle 17-9 in one-run games this season. They played more, they've won the most in the American League. They find ways to win these games, and until the Rays stop finding ways to lose them, we're going to have a tough time getting back over 500.
It's foul out of play. 2-2. Well, the Rays need a little magic to escape this situation. Game has been tied. And strike three call. Boy, a big strikeout. Zunino not happy. 14th strikeout for Rays pitching in this game. And that is a very big out.
Huge strikeout right here, Dwayne. That was absolutely perfect pitch. We talked about his curveball being a little bit better as of recently, and there you see it. Executed perfectly, 83 miles an hour, and you know, he's been a little bit erratic right now, so for him to come back with that two-strike curveball, that's a huge pitch for Alvarado.
Interested to see how the Rays want to play this defensively. I guess with the speedster D. Gordon, you got to keep the infield in because your chances of turning a double play ball on him are probably somewhat minimal, so they keep the infield in to try to cut that runner off at third base again.
Any kind of contact is problematic here with the speed of Gordon. And the pitch, a little popper into short left. That's going to drop for a base hit. Heredia is going to score. He got it just over the infield and out of the reach of Robertson, who was pulled in. Infield had to be up, and that cost the Rays. Gordon just making contact and dropping it over the infield into shallow left, and it's 2-1 Seattle.
Well, just a perfectly placed ball from D. Gordon. You're going to see a 99-mile-an-hour fastball right here from Alvarado, and D. Gordon hitting it off the fist, but just strong enough to get it over Robertson, who was pulled in, like you guys said, pulled in because, you know, we obviously didn't want that runner on third to score. Wound up working against the Rays here in this situation.
Barely cleared the infield dirt. The infield's back looking to turn two. He catches the baseball, but I think, again, it's the right call to bring the infield in, and it's just unfortunate. And I guess when you, and again, this game's not over yet. The Rays have been able to get that Edwin Diaz earlier in the series, but I guess you find little holes like that a few times when you are 17-9 and 6-1 in games decided by 2 runs or less. And Stan Borowski going out there and reminding Jose Alvarado that this inning is far from over. Let's limit this to just the 2 runs and give our offense a chance.
Well, they break up the conference on the hill. Gordon with speed at first. And Span, the runner at second. Nuno up in the Rays bullpen now. Well, the Rays in the 9th due to have Miller, Gomez, and Field, but they've got to get out of the bottom of the 8th first. And Segura came into the game hitting .336, second in the league in total hits, and .323 with men in scoring position. The pitch is a strike at the knees. Well, there's Diaz up in the bullpen, and as Dave alluded to, he has not been spot on in 2 of the last 3 outings. fouled right back over the screen. Well, Romine has scored after the base hit by Healy. He came on as a pinch runner. Already had put down the sacrifice, but reached on Miller's error. Spann drove in the run with a base hit to right. Zunino called out on strikes, and Gordon just dropped one over the drawn-in infield into shallow left to drive in the go-ahead run. 0-2 on Segura. The runners go, and the pitch fouled by Segura. And boy, both those runners had the bases stolen.
Absolutely. I mean, we got a favor from Segura swinging at that pitch. You know, they could have gone into the base standing up. You watch both runners. Alvarado just not paying any attention to anybody who's on the base at this point in time. See the game kind of speeding up on Alvarado right now.
Segura out on strikes. Well, that's the second out. That's exactly what the Rays needed there. And now it'll be Haniger, who has been clutch.
Great pitch there by Alvarado, as you were saying, and I was thinking the same thing. World was starting to speed up a little bit on Jose, so what did he do? He put a little curveball together right there, took a little off it, and I'm sure Segura standing at the plate thinking, young pitcher, he's going to try and blow something by me. Slowed it down. Nice wrinkler, gets the strikeout.
Haniger takes a fastball down at 97 for a strike. Right at the bottom of the zone. Alvarado trying to keep the Mariners right where they are. Now the start of a move and a throw back to second, bounces in. Spann off the bag, started a move toward third, and on that turn you saw Alvarado bounce the throw into Wendell.
Boy, you just see Alvarado. Keep your eyes on Alvarado right now. Just doesn't set his feet. I mean, at least he's paying attention to where the base runners are. You can see Spann actually making a move to third base there. Boy.
Fastball up, 98, 1-1. Well, you can see Alvarado unnerved in this situation today.
If there had been a play on, I think they would have had Spann, but Wendell wasn't coming in to cover the bag, and Alvarado doesn't have to throw the ball there. He could have just held on to it. Rays are fortunate he didn't throw that in the center field.
Upstairs, 2-1, and what that does, Spann serving as a distraction out there at second base.
Yeah, a lot of times, you know, in these situations, these base runners get more into your head, and that takes you away from what you're trying to do, the batter at the plate. Alvarado not super comfortable out there. He's kind of feeling for his location.
Two. 97 on that fastball. Good cut by Haniger, so Alvarado a pitch away from getting out of this one and limiting the damage. Strike three called. He got him with a breaking ball. That retires the side. But 2-run score. We go to the ninth. It's 2-1 Seattle.
just outstanding. 8 innings pitched, 5 hits, 1 earned run on 7 punch-outs. And wait till you see the splits that he's thrown. The amount of fastballs, he has 31 fastballs in the 106 pitches that he threw. Now you're talking about a guy who, when he broke into this league, he was throwing 95, 98 miles an hour. And now, obviously, he's pitching with a lot different stuff, sitting around the 89 to 91 mark. But he utilizes that changeup and curveball so well, he's really kept the Rays offense off balance all day long, and this is by far his best outing of the year.
106 pitches total, and they turn it over to Edwin Diaz. Diaz making his 32nd appearance. 0-2 and 20 of 23 in save opportunities. The Rays will have Brad Miller leading off against him, and the pitch is skied foul, out of play the other way. Gomez next, and then Field due to hit third. Anthony, strike 2. Ray's not happy over that second called strike. With foul ball holding the count at 0-2.
We saw Diaz come in late yesterday and get the save, doing a good job. And prior to that, he came off a loss and a blown save. So
1-2 now to Miller.
We were hoping to catch him at the right time, but he's been just so dominant all season long.
Miller owns the lone run batted in today. Takes ball 2.
Brad had the tough at bat against him on Friday night when the Rays had first and third after tying the ball game up, and they put the bunt play on thinking that maybe he can put a bunt down and get the go-ahead run in. He ultimately struck out.
Ground ball foul outside of first. And Diaz in the game here last night. Had a perfect ninth when he got Ramos looking on a 98-mile-per-hour fastball. He got Malik Smith on the ground ball, and Wendell on a comebacker. There's a little tap to the left side. Segura scoops and throws out at first. Well, Miller out 6-3 to start it.
Well, here you see it. This is actually a really good play by Segura. Charging, coming straight in, throwing off balance to first base, just barely able to get Miller over it.
Well, part of the reason why Seattle is on the verge of maybe sweeping this 3-game series, guys, is it looks like, they've made every play. They haven't committed an error. They haven't been perfect in all aspects of the game, but they've made a lot of great defensive plays.
Pitch up and in to Carlos Gomez. That fastball riding up and in, and the helmet went flying. 1 ball, no strikes. Well, on that last play, it was both Segura and Romine at first making nice plays. Well, that'll catch your attention.
97, right up by the head. That's scary stuff.
1-1 now as Gomez fouls this one.
That's 11 consecutive games that the Mariners have not committed an error. And as we said, probably goes a long way toward winning a lot of close games when you're not beating yourself. And the Rays in that bottom of the 8th inning, it was a lot of self-inflicted damage done by Jose.
2 balls and a strike to count. Ground ball to second. It's Gordon with the pickup. So 2 up, 2 down in the 9th.
Well, here you see Diaz doing what he's done all year. Just continuing to pound fastballs. He's really only a fastball slider guy, and when you feature 96, 97 with the deceptive delivery, kind of loosey-goosey finish release point, just so tough to hit with that exploding fastball that rides late on
Johnny
you.
Field, the last hope here for the Rays. 2 outs in the 9th in this 1-run game. Fouls that one out of play. Well, the Rays have had a difficult run, to be sure, here in Seattle. Dropping the first 2 games. Seattle's going 2 in the 8th to take the lead in this one. 1 ball, 1 strike. One and 2. 98 just challenged him with the fastball right there. Their last 8 games here in this ballpark. 8 of their last 9 against the Mariners, period, and a little tapper foul. Low scoring games here. Field trying to keep it going. Upstairs. 2 and 2. Sucre on deck. The Rays have no left-handed bats on the bench. They've utilized Arroyo already. His right-handed bat. He took over for Crone. Now the pitch and a swing and a miss. Field out on strikes, and this one is over. A tough one to swallow for the Rays. A strikeout of Field to end it. 2 runs, 4 hits, no errors for Seattle. A run, 5 hits, and an error for the Rays. It turned out to be costly. Hernandez gets the win. Alvarado will take the loss, and Diaz will pick up the save. For Diaz, his 21st save of the year. And the Rays are swept here in Seattle and dropped to 28 and 30 overall. We'll be with you Tuesday night at 6:30. For Doug Wechter and Dave Wills, Dwayne Stats, hope you've enjoyed the telecast. If not, the outcome 2-1 Seattle. Post game is next.